I'm Suli the rapper, and you are watching Bar for Bar with Suli. I initially received the beat from McKnight, who's such a talented producer, and was sort of laboring over how to perform over it. And initially, I'd written something that was more low tempo, more my usual boom bap style, but sort of in the middle of the night, during one of the times when I was in the bush, I kept waking up at 2 a.m. and I was getting inspiration for this really hype song. And I'd been listening to a lot of Toby Nwigwe at the time. And so that's sort of what fueled this Silly for the Wait song and the style that I do on it. I'm finna need more airtime because I'm just scratching the surface. I'm finna be in your ears like that tune from customer service. Been outside coverage area. I know all excuses are worthless, but that's just something to bear in mind when these bars resurface. Obviously, Silly for the Wait is a song ultimately that is a play on the word sorry for the wait and is a bit of an apology to listeners for taking so long to release the project. So I kick off with a double entendre, obviously airtime, referring to airplay on radio and on TV, but also airtime sort of being the credit that you load in your phone in order to be able to make calls and to buy data to be able to browse the internet. So scratching the surface, obviously just getting started, but also literally scratching the surface is what you have to do in order to see the numbers on an airtime scratch card. Those first 4 bars sort of speak to the reason behind the delay. In working in the wildlife filmmaking industry for long periods of time, I'm sometimes based in very remote areas. And last year, especially in areas that had very poor signal. So literally trying to find signal while trying to gain ideas while working on music. Hand in the air, swinging around, steady trying to catch signal, trying to write my next single, and trying to kill it with the visuals, trying to be an individual, trying to own some I be the Gets Me residuals. I want a feature from Kidjo, prayer hands, vigil. The next 4 bars round off this image of struggling to have connectivity and searching for signal, but also sort of sets in these plans and this trajectory of hope to ultimately have international impact, but obviously this ultimate goal of the music and the storytelling to be self-sustaining, by owning IP in this savage music industry and being able to reap the benefits of that and for that to fund future stories and future impact, hopefully. All my losses have me beating me. I've been eating, so I got gains. My purpose gives me liberty. Really had to get it ingrained. Pretty ballsy when I'm in pain. Lately, I've been on that super sane, like, sheesh, y'all better stop playing, cause Silly the rapper done got plans. I think it's easy as an artist to get overwhelmed by the different voices. It's so important to consider your listeners. It's so important to consider your team and your manager. But I think ultimately remembering why you started, and for me personally, remembering that it's a bit of a calling, it's a purpose, obviously a bit of a play of words there. Pretty ballsy when I'm in pain. Double meaning, ballsy as in brave, edgy, but equally Ball Z in reference to Dragon Ball Z, the animation that was based off of a manga, which was really a very nostalgic thing to speak on because as a kid, I remember 17 hours, 5 p.m., SABC2. I had an older brother and didn't have an option. That's what we were going to watch. And I got engrossed by the characters and the heroes. That is ultimately what inspired the hook. Call me, harm me, call me, harm me, like your hands tied. Kwame, 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 with the hand vibes. Kale, 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 Wangu. There was no sign. This time we right out the gate. I'm really silly for the wait. Obviously, the Kamehameha is this move within the Dragon Ball Z. It's something that's done both in and out of Super Saiyan, but it's this really, really long build up and ultimately this huge blast and sort of, I think, speaks to what the entire project speaks to as far as this waiting, this incubation until finally my first release, and now, it's sort of onwards and upwards from here. Kwame Nkrumah, who is this huge icon through Africa, freedom fighter. But ultimately, it's just those vibes of like getting prepared for something really, really big. Kale Wangu, how long overdue the release has been. And then ultimately, it's like we're coming right out the gate, in addition to being sorry for how long this wait has been. Somewhat of a jack of several trades, none of which I have yet mastered. Life dealt me a jack of spades, had to skip my turn just to go after. Apparently we playing crazy 8, handful of cards I never asked for. Really am silly for the wait, gotta put my ace down faster. These 4 bars were pretty fun to write. Obviously speak to Crazy 8, a card game that held us down in many moments of boredom during childhood. And obviously it's this, when you put down the J, it means you jump the next person, you skip. So that's what that line is talking about. And in Crazy 8, often you punish people by making them pick more cards, and it takes them further away from winning. And it's sort of this reflection of this delay even in my music career and being further and further away from my destination, from my goal. And then obviously, depending on the kind of rules that you play with, because let's be honest, Crazy 8 differs between who's playing, but the ace often is like the thing that can do everything and anything. That ace up my sleeve that pushed me forward and gave me the confidence to go through with releasing this project. In the Zambia music biz, well, Iron Adam is a rap star. You know that the struggle is real when I'm talking house money, car, na love. So within these bars, there's sort of a nod to a very, very famous throwback song called House Money Car. On the surface, obviously speaking about the struggle of being an artist and sometimes being an artist in Zambia within an industry that's still very much developing. But also Israel is formerly known as Exile, and he was a rapper on the song House Money Car. And then obviously his wife Nalu was also on that song. So that Nalu, it's now look, but I pronounced it in a way that sort of also gives a nod to Nalu, who was also on the song. Nalu, my own fears had me sure. Like, do I really got bars? Kale wangu nali lemba hook. Ha, okay, nomba kutika. It felt really cool to be able to finish off that verse strong, finish it in Bemba, obviously, which is a majority of the language spoken within House Manika, which was sort of the reference that I'd made just before these few bars. And it's sort of just a great intro into the final hook. This really is a hype song. It's a get ready, it's a get down energy boost. And so I felt like saying it in that way really did it justice. This has been Bar for Bar with Suli. Until next time.